Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how I fixed my snowblower that just wouldn't drive anymore. So a few days ago I was out using the snowblower, everything was working fine, and then all of a sudden it wouldn't drive. The auger was working fine, the engine was running, but the wheels would not turn. So I put it up on the axle stands here and decided I'd take a look and see if I could fix it. And we're going to zoom in here in a minute and I'll show you what I found. Alright, so what we're dealing with here is a fairly old Craftsman snowblower. It's a 10 horsepower Tecumseh engine, 26-inch steering or clearing path, and it's a dual stage auger system. So when it stopped driving the other day, about all I could do was bring it into the garage here, put it up on the stands and take it apart to take a peek. So to do that on this particular model, all I had to do was remove 4 bolts, 2 up at the top area here. We'll just zoom in on the locations. 1 here, 1 here, and there were 2 more on the underside of the snowblower. Once those 4 bolts come out, you've got access to the transmission system here, and you can see exactly what's going on. So a couple things. When your snowblower stops driving, there could be a couple causes of the problem. One of them could be that the spring has come detached. So we take a quick look over here at this spring. You can see it's still in place both here at the upper end and down here at the lower end. That spring attaches to a lever here that then controls the cable that engages the drive wheel when you squeeze the handle up top. So everything looks good there. Another possible problem could be that the friction wheel has worn out. So here you can see the friction wheel. It has this strip of black rubber around it. Everything looks pretty good in terms of the rubber. It's not all worn down or torn up. So that seems to check out okay. The other possibility, and it was obvious when I opened it up, but we'll try to save the exciting part for the end here, is that a shear pin broke. And that's exactly what happened here. So if you take a look inside of here, the way it works is when the engine is running, that silver wheel in the back there spins around. And in order to engage the drive wheels, you pull the lever up top, which tightens up that cable connected to the spring we saw a few minutes ago. And when that happens, the friction wheel here comes into contact with that silver disc, and the shaft that the friction wheel is on starts to turn. When that shaft turns, all of these gears and chains over here kick into action, and eventually you can see down here there's 1 gear on this shaft. This is the axle that drives the wheels, and you'll notice in that sprocket there's 2 holes, and I think we can see it here. You can see right through those holes. They're lined up right now. You're supposed to have a shear pin through there that makes sure that when that sprocket is spinning, the shaft spins at the same time. Well, what happened in this particular case is the shear pin broke. So there you can see the bolt. It's clearly broken off. As soon as I took the panel off of the snowblower, that came falling out the bottom, so it was obvious what the problem was. So, in order to fix this, we need to put in a new shear pin. But it wasn't as simple as just grabbing a new shear pin and popping it in through that hole, because when the shear pin broke, the sprocket continued to spin and the shaft didn't. So the holes weren't lined up. And so what I had to do before I can fix this is line up the holes. Now the way I did that, not too difficult. I took off the left wheel, and you can see I've got a screwdriver inserted through the hole in the shaft there. That allows me to turn this shaft without turning anything else, provided I can stop this drive shaft up here from spinning at the same time. So all I did was I put a 5/8 wrench on that shaft, held it from spinning, and then turned the screwdriver handle until the holes line up between the sprocket and the drive shaft like you see there. Now I don't happen to have any extra shear pins on hand, but I do have some bolts. So I'm just going to take this bolt down here, drop it through that hole in the shaft, tighten it down so it doesn't fall out, and that'll get me limping along until I can get a proper shear pin. So here you can see what it looks like with the new bolt installed. I've put 2 nuts on it to make sure that it holds tight and doesn't fall out. See there? Now the one concern I had, because this isn't the actual shear pin for the snowblower, is whether or not it would clear everything without causing further problems. So to make sure of that, if I turn the shaft again with the screwdriver through the hole where the wheel should go, I can see that it rotates all the way around and it's not going to come into contact with anything that it shouldn't, so everything should be just fine in there as a temporary fix.